The year is 2067 and Earth has been devastated beyond repair due to climate change. All plant life has died, and without plants, oxygen levels in the air have dropped dramatically. To survive, people must rely on artificial oxygen, which is expensive and harmful over time. Most of the planet is now in darkness, and people are dying from suffocation. Only one city in Australia remains functional, and it's all thanks to Chronicle, a corporation that manufactures synthetic oxygen. However, their product comes with a severe downside. It causes a fatal illness known as the sickness. Humanity is on the brink of extinction, with only a few years left. Ethan White lives in this Australian city. He works as a mechanic for Chronicle alongside his best friend Jude. Ethan's wife Xanthi is suffering from the sickness, and Ethan does everything he can to provide her with higher quality artificial oxygen to ease her suffering. One day, while working in the tunnels with Jude, Ethan is unexpectedly summoned to the office of Regina Jackson, Chronicle's chief technology officer for particle research. Regina introduces herself and shares the grim reality: humanity doesn't have much time left unless drastic measures are taken. She reveals that Ethan is the key to saving humanity. Ethan is skeptical and doubts her words. Regina insists he visit the lab to understand further. At the lab, Ethan sees a massive machine. Dr. Billy Mitchell, the lab's lead scientist, introduces himself and inspects the strange device attached to Ethan's wrist. Regina and Billy explain that Ethan's father, Dr. Richard White, began working on a groundbreaking project 20 years ago, a time machine called the Chronicle. During an early experiment, the team sent radio waves through the machine to test it. The waves returned, reformulated into a shocking message, sent to Ethan White. So even more astounding, they discovered that 407 years into the future, in 2474, Earth would be covered in vegetation again, producing enough oxygen to sustain human life. So the team theorizes that if humanity survives centuries from now, they must have found solutions to the problems destroying the planet. They believe Ethan must travel to the future to bring back a cure for the sickness. Ethan is overwhelmed and refuses to go, accusing Regina of lying. He is unwilling to leave his wife behind. Later, Ethan and Jude visit a diner to buy clean oxygen, where Jude tries to convince Ethan to take the chance. Ethan resists, revealing his deep resentment toward his father, who disappeared 20 years ago to work on this very project. Ethan blames his father for abandoning him and his mother, who was killed when Ethan was a child. Jude, who raised Ethan like an older brother, reasons with him, saying that finding the cure might be the only way to save Xanth. So that night, Ethan recalls his 8th birthday when his father gave him a strange box as a gift. When Ethan reached inside, the box attached a device to his wrist, causing him pain. The device has been there ever since, but Ethan never understood its purpose. Later, Ethan tells Xanthi about the events of the day. To his surprise, she encourages him to go, saying it might be their only hope. The next morning, Ethan leaves a message for her, carving the words, "I will find my way back to you," on a metal flower. Determined, he heads back to Regina and agrees to go on the mission, but on one condition: if he finds the cure, Xantha must be the first to receive it. Regina agrees. Ethan is taken to the lab, where Dr. Mitchell prepares him for the journey and introduces him to the specialized suit he'll need to wear inside the time machine. So as they start explaining the mission to Ethan, he realizes they have no proper plan, so they don't know what he will encounter or whom he will meet on the other side. However, before sending him off, they equip him with an AI device called Archie. Archie will monitor Ethan's vitals and guide him throughout his journey. After putting on his suit, Ethan is thrown into the machine. So inside the machine, Ethan travels at an incredible speed through time. He suddenly falls from the sky and lands in a dense, unknown jungle. The friction from his descent causes his suit to catch fire, so he quickly removes it. So as he looks around, Ethan is stunned by the beauty surrounding him. The world has changed dramatically. Lush trees and fresh oxygen dominate the landscape. Following Archie's guidance, Ethan walks until he finds a mysterious bunker door. To his shock, he notices a skeleton lying right in front of the door. A bullet hole marks its skull, and the name tag attached to it reads Ethan's name. Horrified, Ethan realizes it's his own skeleton. Next to the skeleton, he finds its version of Archie and plays the last recording. A man's voice declares, "This is the only way," before the sound of a gunshot. The device powers off right after. Terrified by what he has discovered, Ethan inspects the skeleton's wrist device. It is identical to his own, except the light on it glows green, whereas Ethan's device has always glowed red. That night, Ethan starts a fire and eats some wild berries, but they turn out to be poisonous. He vomits and starts losing consciousness. When Ethan wakes up, he is surprised to see Jude beside him. The lab, having monitored Ethan's vitals, realized he was poisoned and sent Jude to the future with a cure. Despite being saved, Ethan notices his skeleton remains unchanged, meaning his fate hasn't been altered yet. Determined to uncover the truth, he and Jude use Archie to locate another door. So as they approach, a scanner reads Ethan's eye and grants them access. Inside, a monitor greets Ethan and requests a DNA sample. Agreeing to the request, Ethan's wrist device pricks his skin and draws blood. Suddenly, the light on his wrist device turns green. The room illuminates, revealing that they are in Chronicle's lab, 407 years in the future. In front of them sits the time machine. Jude is thrilled, believing they can now return to the past. However, Ethan is doubtful, convinced that nothing has changed and that he is destined to die, just like the skeleton version of himself. While inspecting the lab system log, Ethan finds a holographic message from his father. The recording reveals that the time machine was initially created to study oxygen levels on future Earth and send the data back in time. But one day, Ethan's father received a mysterious message instructing him to send Ethan to the future. Despite his doubts, he followed the instructions and encoded the lab's DNS system for Ethan's arrival. Chronicle. Soon Ethan and Jude realize the time machine cannot take them back. Its battery is almost dead after functioning for 407 years. To make matters worse, activating the lab has caused a malfunction in its nuclear power core, triggering a countdown to a nuclear explosion in just 4 hours. So they must repair the time machine and escape before it's too late. Stepping outside, they discover a ruined city overtaken by greenery. There are no humans left, only scattered skeletons signaling humanity's extinction. The Earth, however, has begun to heal itself. As they explore, Ethan finds his wife's house. So inside, he discovers her remains, sending him into deep despair. Jude tries to convince Ethan to return to the past, arguing that there is no cure for humanity's sickness even in the future. But Jude's words make Ethan suspicious. Turning on the damaged version of Archie from the skeleton, Ethan listens to the recording again. So this time, he recognizes Jude's voice in the message. The same voice that says, "This is the only way," before shooting him. When confronted, Jude raises his gun at Ethan, vehemently denying that he would ever harm him. The tension grows as Ethan faces the man he thought he could trust. Ethan finally decides to prioritize completing the mission. With combined efforts, they successfully repair the power core and return to the lab, so now the Chronicle system is operational and they should be able to travel back to the past. However, they need to wait 37 minutes for the portal to launch. When the countdown hits 0, the portal will connect to the year 2067 for about 30 seconds. Despite their efforts, Ethan notices that his own body still lies behind a door in the same location, so it suggests that nothing has changed in the future. To uncover the truth, Ethan swaps the battery of his current Archie with the rusty one. By doing this, he unlocks another video. In the recording, Ethan sees himself being warned that his future self will be killed by Jude. Jude later confesses that altering the future is impossible and claims he has been trying to protect Ethan all along. Struggling to trust Jude, Ethan locks him in a room and begins reviewing his father's holographic log recorded on the day he died. In the log, Ethan discovers a hidden conversation between his father and Chronocorp's CTO, Regina Jackson. So Ethan learns that his father wanted to use the time machine to save humanity by finding a cure for the dying Earth. However, Regina's goal was entirely different. She intended to escape to the future with a small group of elite individuals, leaving everyone else to perish. For either plan to work, someone needed to travel into the future to activate the time machine from that side. To prevent Regina's selfish plan, Ethan's father locked the time machine and tied its activation to Ethan's DNA as the verification key. Furious over this decision, Regina murdered Ethan's father on the spot. She then ordered Jude to kill Ethan's mother and raise Ethan, ensuring that one day they could use Ethan's wrist pin to gain access to the future. So this revelation shatters Ethan. The man he believed to be his loyal brother is revealed as the one who killed his mother and now intends to kill him. Ethan also realizes he had misjudged his father, who had never abandoned their family, but sacrificed himself for the greater good. Determined to stop Regina's plan to send her chosen few into the future, Ethan tries to shut the time machine down. Jude, following Regina's orders, intervenes to stop Ethan. Jude reveals that his mission was to ensure Ethan repaired the power core and activated the time machine. So once this was done, Jude was supposed to kill him. However, years of brotherly companionship have left Jude conflicted. Consumed with guilt, Jude turns the gun on himself and takes his own life instead of killing Ethan. So devastated but resolute, Ethan decides to honor his father's last wish to find a cure and save humanity. He looks at the monitor and finds the very first message sent by his father, "Send Ethan White." Realizing that he was the one who sent the message, Ethan programs it into the system again and transmits it to the past, along with several other items. Meanwhile, in 2067, Regina and her chosen elites anxiously wait for the time machine to activate. But instead of a gateway to the future, the machine delivers hundreds of extinct plants and a recording of Regina murdering Ethan's father. Moments later, Ethan destroys the time machine, effectively collapsing Regina's plan and ensuring no one can misuse it again. In the end, the CTO is taken into custody for committing murder. The plants that were sent back to the year 2067 are carefully grown to help restore the planet's environment. Ethan's wife receives a flower from him, which helps her understand why he made his choice. Meanwhile, Ethan remains in the future, where he buries Jude and chooses to forgive him. A butterfly appears and catches Ethan's attention, guiding him back to the same entrance he had come through earlier. To his surprise and happiness, the corpse of his future self is no longer there. Excited, he hurries to see the world outside and is overwhelmed with relief when he finds a stunning eco-friendly city in place of the barren wasteland he had seen before. His decision had successfully changed humanity's future for the better. Subscribe for popcorn. We are racing towards 2,000 subscribers.